I'm Sharon from Kameo Recruitment. I am presenting to you today to hopefully give you some CV writing tips which will help you either now or in the future. So first of all, to start with, what is a CV for? A CV, also known as a curriculum vitae, is a written overview of your skills, education and work experience. It may be used for a variety of reasons. However, the most common of these is to send to prospective employers when looking for a job. Also, a well-prepared CV is often the key to a successful job hunt, and it is important that it does justice to your abilities. So on a CV, there's lots of different sections that we will cover in more detail, but just to give you an overview, the first part is the personal details. We then have a profile, education section, employment history, other skills and interests, and then references at the end. So to start with, personal details. These are really important. Obviously, people are going to need your personal details to be able to contact you. So first of all, we start with your name. That needs to be your first name and then your surname. Your address, your full address does need to be on there ideally, because people are going to send things to you. They will need to get in contact with you. Your telephone number. Now, this is really important. Ideally, you'll have your mobile on there. Most of us have mobiles these days. It's important to make sure also that your mobile has an answer phone on it. The reason for that is if you're not there or able to take the call, people will leave a voicemail for you, but you also need to make sure that you do listen to those voicemails as well. We do know that people do ignore them, but there could be somebody that wants to contact you. Also, email. It's advisable to have a professional email address for job hunting purposes. So I'm sure many of you will have some funny email addresses out there. I've seen lots in my time. One of which we've got an example here, partytime@gmail.com. That is okay if you're chatting to your friends, but obviously an employer is not going to want to email something like that. So it's really good and simple to create an email address that you can use just for your job hunt. So your profile, this bit is really, really important on your CV, especially when you don't have a lot of work experience. It's the first thing that people will read as it's at the top of your CV. It's a chance for you to sell yourself and really make an impact. So in your profile, it should summarise your skills, highlight your abilities, the benefits of employing you, and obviously give an overview of the type of position that you're seeking as well. So we have an example that I'm going to read to you. This example is one that can be tailored as well. So you can use this on your CV and make it applicable to yourself. So I'm a highly experienced sales and administration professional who enjoys taking on new challenges and working to the best of my ability. My experience has been gained from working for a large blue chip company for over 5 years and then progressing into a customer facing role where I've learned to be proactive, build good working relationships at all levels and work to very demanding timescales. My broad range of skills and fresh approach to challenges would suit a role requiring enthusiasm and initiative. So that, like I say, is one example you can use. There obviously are other things that you can add into that, but it needs to be quite short and stand out. So the next part is your education. Most of you will be in school at the moment or studying. So this needs to be in simple list format. You need to include the dates, the governing bodies and the grades. So obviously on here we have an example of someone who's been to Longroad Sixth Form College in Cambridge. They studied from 2015 to 2017. You will see underneath there is a list of the subjects they took and the grades. So it's very simple and easy to read. Obviously, if you've got predicted grades at the moment, you can put your predicted grades on there as something for people to get a guide by, but do remember as soon as you get your real grades to put the right ones on there. So employment history, some of you may have part-time jobs. If you don't, then this will be something that you will add on in the future, but we are still going to go over it just so you are fully aware of what you need to put on when you do come to it. So this is a really important part of your CV, as employers will be keen to read about your experience. The most recent position is always at the top. So when you do add extra employment history on, always put it underneath so that people see what you're doing at the current time. You must include your job title, the company, the dates and the duties. it's a good idea to include the company website as well. This really is so that people that are looking at your CV can go online and find that company quite quickly. So obviously we've got an example here of Cadbury's, for example. People know they can go on Google and find Cadbury's website. You may well be working for a very small employer at the moment doing some part-time work. They will probably have a website, but they may not be as easy to find, which is why it's really important to include the website on there. The duties that you carry out as well are very, very important and should be listed in a bullet point. So again, you can see below, we have the bullet points there. Now, when it comes to your the duties you've been involved in, there may be things that you do, but you don't realise how important they are. So if you're in customer service, for example, resolving customer complaints, that's something to put on there. You may not think that's important, but other people that are looking at your CV will be really keen to see that you've dealt with those kind of situations. If you're working in an office, you might do some filing. Again, it's fine to put that on there because it shows that you're happy to do all sorts of different tasks. So really think about the duties that you get involved with and put them on there, because everything that you do is relevant in one way or another. So this bit, again, is very important. So other skills, interests and accreditations. This is an opportunity for you to add in any extra information which you feel is relevant. It can be anything from your personal skills, your hobbies, extracurricular activities, IT courses, anything that you do in life will give you skills. So it's really important to sit down and think about all the different things that you have done. Depending on how much you have, you can either write a list or a paragraph for this. Examples of these kind of skills and accreditations: when I've been into schools and spoken to students, they don't realise all of the extra things that they have actually done which are relevant for a CV. So for example, Duke of Edinburgh Award, I'm sure there'll be many of you that have actually achieved this but don't see the relevance right now. But what you will realise is when you think about it, the skills that you've gained: teamwork, independence, self-discipline. There'll be other things that you may have done as well. So a Microsoft Word course, for example. You may all be sitting at home right now thinking, what can I do this afternoon? There's lots of free online courses that you can do right now that will also help you moving forwards. So if you can sign up to any online courses, I would definitely recommend it. Other things, so hobbies. Most of you, I'm sure, will have some kind of hobby that you're involved in. Football, hockey, example, they're just examples that we've got there. My son plays football and he would tell you he's learned so much from it. Again, discipline, teamwork, all of those skills that can be used when you go out into the workplace. So think of all of the things that you do and you enjoy and make sure that you include those as well. And then finally, your references. So the references section on your CV is a vital part. Your references, they should be two people who know you well and have worked with you in one way or another. Or, for example, your teachers at the moment, if you aren't working, then your tutor or teacher would, I'm sure, be happy to do this for you. Family, friends as well can be really useful when you're at the start of your career. But it's important to include their name, the job title and company, the email address, and the contact number. But the one thing I would say is make sure that you've made these people aware that they are your references. Otherwise, if they get a call or an email, they may be totally confused and not obviously unsure of what's going on. So communication to them is really important. So extra information and tips that I can give you. The look and feel of your CV should be as simple and clear as possible, as presentation counts for a huge amount. Use a simple font throughout your CV. So sometimes people like to make their CVs look really flashy, which is fine, but actually they won't be readable or they won't stand out in the right way. So make sure you keep it simple. Reading as well. So the smallest I would go is size 10 on a font. Purely because people want to read it and be able to see what you've written as well. Don't have huge paragraphs because people, again, if they're reading your CV, a CV, it's been proven that people will look at your CV and they get 6.9 seconds. They make a decision on your CV in that short space of time. So you need it to really look good. So having huge paragraphs can make it not readable for the person that's looking at it. And do not put your photo on there as well. Again, it can be used as discrimination. So we always advise no photos. Very important, again, give your CV a professional file name. So for example, your first name, your surname, and then CV. You may not think this is important, but if you've attached it onto an email, it looks good. People will be able to find it easily as well. Check that all of your dates are correct, as this can cause problems when references are taken. So one thing I would say, this is extremely important. I work in recruitment, and I've had candidates that have really struggled when they've had the wrong dates on their CV. It has been a mistake, but it doesn't look good. Your attention to detail then doesn't look good, and when they go to get a reference, the reference will be different, which will cause problems. Ensure that your CV is formatted correctly. So when I say this, it needs to look good. So when someone opens it, you need to have a nice format. There's no splitting of positions across 2 pages. Again, it will make it look unprofessional. Save your CV in Word, as this will ensure it can be read and passes through any CV scanning software. So some companies and recruitment agencies use software to actually take a look at the CV first of all, and a lot of them don't use any other format apart from Word. So if you send your CV across in a different format, it may mean that your CV gets missed. And also, finally, one big thing, I'm sure many of you have got social media. More employers are looking on social media sites. So before you submit your CV, check all of your social media. Make sure that your photos, your comments, your language is all okay. It's something that you would be happy for your parents to see. And if that's the case, then you're fine. But if you do have it open as well, which you shouldn't do, just make sure that anything that is visible is that you'd be happy for them to see. Otherwise, they can use this against you and you may not get selected. The biggest thing after all of these tips is proofread your CV. It's the most important point, as one mistake can really ruin your credibility and can be easily avoided. So spell check is really, really useful. It's fantastic. It will pick up the common words, but it might miss grammar. So therefore, what I would recommend is check your CV yourself a number of times, but then give it to a family member or a friend and ask them to proofread it as well. Again, like I say, it's that credibility that can be ruined so quickly. So take the time to make sure that it's right and you've got everything on there that you need. Thank you very much for listening.